Welcome back to my little channel. Today I'm going to make a small video addressing something Riley Dennis said some time ago. I wanted to make this video before, real life, you know how it goes. Now, some of you may find that when I cut into the video of Riley Dennis, I don't really make great cuts. Unfortunately, this is true, but this is because, well, he edited his video so tightly that it's very difficult for me to make good cuts. I know it's possible, I'm just not that good of an editor. Fair is fair. But the main reason I'm making this video is not to show how good or bad my editing skills are. It's more to get you to realize what's actually being said by people on that side of the political spectrum. The thing is, we should all be united on this. There is quite simply a problem in our society. Violence is violence, therefore we need to address all violence. But according to Mr. Riley Dennis, and yes, I am specifically saying Mr. because I'm sorry, if you're only a cross-dresser, you're not a transgender. Transgenders go through the transition, or at least try to. I'm sorry, if you're a guy claiming you're a woman, but you want to fuck other women because no, you're not transgender. You're just a cross-dresser. No problem with that either, to be honest. Be whatever you want to be, but don't try to make the world see you in the way you want them to see you. Recognize that the world will see you in the way you are. I get sidetracked. I'm sorry. Back to the topic. This is what he had to say.
Last week, neo-Nazis, white supremacists, white nationalists, and KKK members held a Unite the Right rally in Charlottesville, Virginia.
Yeah, that's how old his video is. But I'm still going to respond to it, because what I'm going to say still makes sense, I hope. Let's go on.
On Friday night, they marched with torches and chanted the Nazi slogan, blood and soil, along with other racist chants. A group of counter-protesters were there, and they were completely surrounded by the Nazis.
You know, when you first said it, I was planning on looking up how many right-wing protesters there were, or free speech protesters as they themselves claimed they were, and how many counter-protesters there were. Because I remember that there were more Antifa and Black Lives Matter people there than the free speech protesters and the right-wing protesters. But in the end, that doesn't even make a difference. So I stopped doing that. You know why? The right-wing and free speech movement had a right to protest that day. The counter-protesters did not even file for a permit. They just showed up and started being violent. How violent? Well, violent enough for the police to say, you know what, we're not going to do anything, let them fight it out. And yeah, shit happened. And it's bad that shit happened. But in all fairness, if you have a permit to protest somewhere and other people come and take away your right to protest by being violent towards you, it's a miracle that not more people have died in America because of this.
On Saturday, the Nazis and the counter-protesters showed up again. This time, the Nazis shouted homophobic things like "fuck you, faggot." Many of them were carrying shields, guns, Confederate flags, and Nazi flags.
Yeah, first off, the Charlottesville protest wasn't a white supremacy march. It was basically meant to be a free speech march. Now, white supremacists did show up. I won't say that's not the case. But they weren't all Nazis. And I don't want to be rude, but I suggest that you play video games more often. You will find that faggot is not a derogatory term to be anti-homo or anything like that. It's basically an insult because insult. So yeah, if you want to make it sound like, yeah, but that's homophobic. Yeah, I'm sorry, mate, but you're misrepresenting it. Which is okay. You keep doing that constantly anyway. But it's kind of unfair and unrealistic. And when we're talking about, yeah, they had guns and shields and weapons and Nazi flags. Well, I don't know about the gun parts, but all the other things, yeah, you would find some people with shields. And yeah, you would find some people with sticks. And yeah, you would find some people with the Nazi flag. Very few with the Nazi flag, to be honest, as far as I can see in the images I've seen. But if we look at the other side, with the Antifa, yeah, you have people with shields, you have people with sticks, you had people with bear mace, you had people with those big explodey thingies, what are they called? forgot the name. Fuck it, I don't care. Oh, hiccup and all that. It riled up a little bit. So what you're describing that one side had, the other side had as well. And I nearly forgot the communist and the Antifa flags. Yeah, Nazi flags are bad, but communist and Antifa flags are pretty bad too. You know what Antifa stands for, right? I mean, I know they claim themselves to be anti-fascists. They're really not, though. Look into it. They're really not.
Then one of them drove his car into a crowd of counter-protesters, injuring 19 people and killing 1. Heather Heyer was murdered by a Nazi during a Nazi rally as she fought against racism and white supremacy.
Yeah, I'm really not happy about the way you tell this story, though, because you're spinning it in a negative way. But let's be honest about it. I'm terrible that she died, don't get me wrong. But how come she got stuck between cars? And she didn't really die because she got hit by the car. She died of a heart attack. But then again, that heart attack could be caused by a car speeding at her. The 19 people getting injured, though, yeah, that's bad. But how many people were hitting the car? Because the guy charged his car into the protest because he had a feeling that his car was being attacked. And how do you know he was a Nazi? I didn't see any signs on his car. Did you? I mean, let's take a look, shall we? Yeah, he's driving towards the protest and then someone hits his car on the back with a stick or something and he seems to floor it. Kinda, I don't know. Seems like, yeah, they hit his car, the guy got startled and hit the gas. Maybe true, I don't know. He could have done it on purpose. But the fact is that he didn't hit anyone with the car until someone hit his car. And don't get me wrong, it's terrible that someone died. I'm not trying to make light of that, but we have to look at everything in context. It's a miracle that no more people have died during the protests of Antifa, and somehow this doesn't get mentioned. I mean, a dude gets hit with a bike lock over his head. That could have been a fatal blow. But never mind that. No, the right did this. Oh, and as I said, I didn't see any markings on the car. Did you?
Immediately afterwards, Trump failed to condemn the Nazis by name. Instead, he blamed the violence on many sides. And I've seen a lot of people echoing that sentiment.
And yeah, I know Trump bashing is part of the rhetoric nowadays, but in all fairness, he wasn't wrong. It's not as if the only violence came from the ones which were legal to protest there. The violence came from many sides. All of the sides, probably. Well, most of the sides. So yeah, he didn't call them all out by name. So how far would he have to go? Would he have to call all of them by name? Like, okay, so there were some white supremacists, but they weren't organized. And then there was Antifa, but they claim they're not organized. And then there's Black Lives Matter, but they claim they're not organized. So who is he going to name? You're being disingenuous. And I'm assuming you do so because of your virtue, but it's really a bad thing, mate. You should really stop that. And this is not me being in favor of white supremacy. No. I think all violence is bad. So yeah, should the guy have driven his car into the protest? Well, probably not. But should the guy hit the car with a stick? Yeah, no, probably not either. And in all fairness, if you go to counter-protest, knowing full well that you're going to start a shit show, that you're going to start violence, doesn't that make you the perpetrator? But hey, never mind that. Reality doesn't mind.
When you talk about the murder of Heather Heyer, someone pops up and says, what about the violence that Black Lives Matter and anti-fascists have caused? But the problem with that is that it's drawing a false equivalent.
On this, I only have two things to say. One, no, it's not a false equivalence. And two, you're not even going to bother giving an example or an explanation on why you claim it is a false equivalence. Now are you?
Violence is inherent to Nazi ideology. The belief that white people are superior and that they have to take back their country from people of color, that ideology gets people of color killed. There is no way to peacefully be a white supremacist. The very nature of the ideology is violent and harms people of color. Black Lives Matter, on the other hand, is an organization that states very specifically that its goals are to end violence and discrimination against black people.
Okay, this is the last bit of the original video of Rally I am using because the dude is so full of doublespeak. Yes, I'm against violence, so yes, I'm against the violence of white nationalists. No problem there. And calling everyone a Nazi, even though they are not, doesn't really mean anything, but hey, I'm still against the violence. But then you try talking to me how Black Lives Matter is not violent. I'm pretty sure that there are several cities in America that might not agree with you. Baltimore, for example, might not like what you have to say. Ferguson might not have to say that you were right. And, you know, I could give a whole list. Fuck it, I'm not going to do that. And I'm not even going to say, yeah, but some kids claiming to be from Black Lives Matter killed someone in Dallas, or they abducted a kid and then tortured him for a few hours or almost a day whilst live broadcasting it on Facebook because, hey, let's share it with the world. Or people, black kids, attacking white elderly men because, yeah, you must be a Trump voter. No, none of that happened. It's all because of white supremacy. I am sorry, Riley, but as long as you keep attacking one source of the violence while excusing the other source of the violence, all that happens is that people feel that they are justified in their violence because they are being attacked. White supremacy, if you want to call it that, isn't really a thing, but it's becoming a thing because more and more people recognize that being white is considered bad, even though they didn't do anything wrong. And therefore they feel a need to defend themselves. And if you then also drop on the many times black people, black youth, let's be honest, and it's not all black people, it's not nearly all black people, only a few % of them, but they are attacking white people. We got the knockout game, which kills white people, or they attack white people because they're white. Hell, kill white babies. I mean, look it up. It's beyond measurement. The amount of tolerance, and I hate the word tolerance, so please stop tolerating this bullshit, but the amount of tolerance the white societies have for black violence. Even black people have a problem with this. There is a reason why most people do not support Black Lives Matter, and Black Lives Matter has more white supporters than black supporters. Get that through your skull, for fuck's sake. Because as long as you keep perpetuating this story, this will only intensify. This is what happened in 1920 in Italy with the rise of fascism. It was a counterculture because of the Bolsheviks that now call themselves Antifa. White supremacy is now growing, not because so many people are against black people, but because they feel that they are under attack. You're basically pushing a racial narrative into the story. Hell, we have a professor, a law professor, publishing an article in a national newspaper that, hey, when you're black, you can't have white friends because you cannot trust them. I'm sorry, if that's not racism, if that's not violence against a race, yeah, but it's not physical violence. Well, fuck the physical violence part. It's still violence. You're telling a race of people that they are bad because they're white. But when we say, yeah, black people are bad because they're black, justly so people protest because that's not right. It's racism. So how is it not racism when it's done towards white people? And I'm sorry, but people like you, Riley, are creating a problem. You're feeding the white supremacy movement. Can you stop that, please? Anyway, if you want to see the rest of the video of Riley, links down below. I'm not going to address any more of it. Stupid is as stupid does. Okay, some people might think I'm stupid. I think Riley is stupid. Fair is fair. I am looking forward to your criticism. Like, share, and subscribe if you feel so inclined. I'm not really caring about YouTube anymore. I mean, this is going to go up on YouTube. I have a bunch of people who watch my stuff on YouTube, but this is not only going up on YouTube. So if you don't subscribe, well, it would be nice for me to have an idea that there are lots of people liking my stuff, but if you don't, hey, it's okay. But I do like you to share it, and I do like you to comment on it. Criticism is always welcome. It's not right, it's not true, because I say it is. It's just my opinion. You may have a different one. See you all next time.